Hello from the studio in Nitro, West Virginia. This is Unreasonable Doubt. It's a podcast about West Virginia University basketball. I'm Josh Witt. We're getting closer to basketball. It's time to start digging in on how to figure out how Ross Hodges' first season is going to go at West Virginia. And Ross Hodges had years of junior college head coaching experience, years of assistant coaching experience, and technically years of Division I head coaching experience. But he has two total, 2 years of D1 experience. This is his first season at WVU. It'll be his third Division I season. But he has had a first season as a Division I head coach once before, and that was 2 seasons ago at North Texas. What do the stats say about Ross Hodges' first season at North Texas? First of all, Ross Hodges' first roster did not have a lot of height on the roster. Are you sitting down? He didn't have a ton of big guys his first go-round or his second year. His 2 tallest guys in his first year were 6'9". They were rarely, if ever, on the court at the same time. So 2 6'9" guys. There was a 6'7" guy who played the 4, and then a bunch of guards. You look at the most frequent lineups per Ken Pomeroy's computer in Ross Hodges' first season, and he's throwing out 4 guard lineups and the 6'9" guy. And guess what, Ross? Hodges' rotation went about 8 to 9 guys deep. And you look at WVU's roster, he has 1 7-footer in Obi Oha. Abe, the only guy who stuck around from last season, is the only other listed center on the roster. This roster has 8 guards on this roster. That doesn't include Trace and Eaglestaff. So it'll be interesting to see if Hodge keeps the rotation at 8 to 9 guys with so many guards, so many freshmen. Who will make that 8 to 9 guys, and what will that mean as far as what his second season at WVU looks like as far as retention? What did North Texas' stats say in Hodges' first season? Let's start with the good on offense. I told you he had a bunch of 4-guard lineups. Despite that, North Texas was a top 40 offensive rebounding team in Division I basketball, per Ken Pomeroy's computer. A lot of that damage was done by the centers, but his other players hit the glass too. Also, really good at shooting the 3. North Texas was 17th in Division I at almost 38% from 3 in Hodges' first season at North Texas. 5 guys shot over 35% from 3. 2 guys were over 40% from 3. What does it look like for WVU in Hodges' first season? Honor Huff made 124 threes at Chattanooga last season. Eaglestaff made 81 threes. Ugusu, I think I'm saying that right, shot 41% from 3 at South Carolina last season. Brennan Lorient, he doesn't shoot the 3 a ton, but he did make half of the ones he shot last season, 11 for 22. So you could see this WVU team being good from 3, just like Hodges' first North Texas team was good at shooting 3s. The bad on offense, statistically, his first North Texas team, too many turnovers. That team got its shot blocked a ton that first season. North Texas also didn't get to the free throw line very often. Bottom third of Division I in that stat. Also, if you're good at offensive rebounding, what do you have to do? That's right, you got to miss shots. Offensive rebounding is predicated on somebody missing a shot. And so North Texas, while they were great from 3, they were 300th in the country in 2-point percentage. So bad at shooting 2s, great at getting offensive rebounds. What did the defense look like in Ross Hodges' first season? Well, the defense got turnovers. The defense held their opponents to low shooting percentages, especially from inside the arc. The bad opponents were able to offensive rebound. You remember they're not tall, 4-guard lineups, surprisingly good on offensive boards, not surprisingly bad at keeping teams off the offensive glass on the other side. Also, that team allowed their opponents to score a bunch from the free throw line. The final stat that stands out in Ross Hodges' first season at North Texas, the Mean Green played slow. Ross Hodge talks about wanting to be like Houston. Both seasons, Ross Hodges' North Texas teams had a slower tempo than Houston. And they're not Houston slow. We're talking Virginia slow. Like in Ross Hodges' first season at North Texas, only 2 teams had a slower pace than North Texas. And one of them, you guessed it, Tony Bennett's Virginia team. So is Ross Hodge in his first season in Morgantown? Are the Mountaineers going to play Virginia slow? Are we going to have, I know the offense looks different than what Tony Bennett ran, but is that what it's going to look like? Are there going to be games where West Virginia struggles to break 50? We're going to find out. And the most important stat, what was North Texas's record? How many wins did they have in Hodges' first season as head coach? They had 19. They went 19-15, and the Mean Green had a second-round exit in the NIT. What will WVU's record be in Hodges' first season? We've got a few months to find out, and we can make predictions as we get closer to the season, but it's going to be a while. And because it's going to be a while, I've got a guest on the podcast this week. I think it's the second writer of a book that I've ever had on the podcast. Mike Kazaza has wrote a book. Today, I have former WVU player Drew Schifino on the podcast. He's an author. He's also a basketball player. He played for WVU. Think of the time that Drew Schifino was in Morgantown on the basketball team. He played in the one season with John Hargett. He was there for Catlett's last season. He was there for Beeline's first couple of seasons. He was there when Dan Dockich had a cup of coffee in Morgantown. All that's in the book and more. The book is called Baskets and Battles. It's available for purchase on Amazon. Here's my interview with Drew Schifino. All right, Drew Schifino, welcome to Unreasonable Doubt, a podcast about West Virginia University basketball.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Dude, I'm well. You're an author. You wrote a book called Buckets and Battles, available. I got it on Amazon. Find it where books are sold. What made you want to write a book?
It's just, once you get older, you got a lot of time on your hands. So I don't know. Somebody asked me, because a lot of people always ask me what happened with my basketball career in general, from high school to prep school to college to overseas. So I used to write a lot of stuff in my journal. I kept a lot of stuff in my notes, but I don't know. One day I said I'm gonna just write a book on Amazon, and just did it.
You did it, man, and it's out there, and everybody should check it out. Of course, you talk about more than what happened at WVU, but this is a WVU basketball podcast. So I want to ask about your time at WVU, and I'm going to start with Jonathan Hargett. You described him as the toughest guard you've ever seen or played against in the book. What made John Hargett so tough on the court?
He was just he was very fast and quick, and he was just he was rated real high, but his rankings in high school really matched who he was, because he was just hard to guard, man. He was just quick and fast and strong.
It's so crazy how you describe him, and yet how that season went for y'all, and and you talk about it in the book, but if there was one thing to describe how it went downhill, what would you describe for that one season under Gil Catlett?
I'll describe it as chaos.
It reads like chaos, dude. I mean, it's really crazier than what I even had. But when you describe it in the book and my memories of that season, it totally tracks. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so definitely check out the book to read more about that. As a sophomore, Drew, you are the last guy in WVU basketball history to average 20 points a game. And you're only one of 11 Mountaineers who's ever done it. They've been doing it over 100 years. What's it like when you think about that? Like you're on a list with the guys who have statues in front of the Coliseum, Jerry West, Hot Rod Hundley. What is it like to be in a list with those kind of guys, basketball wise?
Not so it's good. You average 20, but unfortunately, my career ended at WV. A lot of people forget, but when you think about it, I was on pace to be up there with Deshaun Butler and Jerry West for the most total points of all time. So I'd have definitely scored 2,000 points if that situation didn't happen. But to average 20 points, that just shows you how great of a scorer I was. Especially scoring averaging 20 at the Division I level in a power conference is a great accomplishment.
It really is. And then you talk about in the book as that next year, you almost transfer in the offseason, right? And
Yeah.
then the way it goes down in your junior year with Coach Beeline. Looking back, what were the things you took from how things ended at WVU? And would you have done anything different?
Oh no, definitely. I should have. Coach Beeline. Like I say, he didn't recruit me though. So, but he's a great coach. I can't take that away from the best coach I ever had. But him and me never really saw eye to eye. But I understand it though. He wouldn't recruit a player like me anyway, and I wouldn't play for a coach like that. But if I could do it again, I'd have definitely probably 100% probably transferred.
Right. And speaking of what if, dude, like Beeline was the coach, but they were looking to get Bob Huggins back in. Do you ever do that what if game? What if Bob Huggins gets hired in 2002 and how that would have affected your basketball career? Because I feel like you and him are a better sync as far as how you look up to him as a coach.
Oh yeah, I know Bob Huggins. I know him personally, but no, if he was the coach, that's who I really wanted. So my career would have been so different. But I thought Coach Huggins was going to come back to Morgantown back in '02. That's who I wanted, but unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. But that's the guy I really wanted to coach. I wanted to play under Coach Huggins.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I think. And after reading the book, Drew, a lot throughout the book, you talk about something that isn't talked about a lot in basketball books that I've read. It's the politics of basketball, right? From playing time at various levels of basketball as a player to even when you get into coaching, you see the politics there. What advice would you give to those in basketball on how to maneuver in the situations where politics come into play?
It's politics always going to play in the thing, but the thing was, back in the day we didn't have social media, so people follow. You could have a politics was big back in the day because everyone listened to the media. I felt like players really didn't have a voice because they had no social media. So people didn't hear it from, nowadays they got 25, 30, they got different sources and stuff. So you can really know what really happened in a situation. Back in the day, you only hear it from like one source, like the paper does. So, but nowadays it's kind of, when things are going shady, it's kind of harder for coaches to be shady or in a situation like my situation when that happened. It wouldn't happen in 2025. I think that how it went down, it wouldn't occur like right now.
Right. And you got a nephew in the NBA. I mean, does he talk about, and when you all talk about that, the differences between what his experience like and the tools that he had available versus what you had back in the day?
Yeah, nowadays it's totally different and stuff. But I felt like back in the day it was tougher. The players it was a grind. Nowadays it's kind of, I ain't gonna say they're spoiled or anything like that, but it's with social media changed the whole. We live in a social media world, so it's totally different. How it was back in the day though. But he's in the NBA, so to get to the NBA, you definitely got to be a great player and you got to work your ass off to be in the NBA.
Right. For sure. You talk about the ups and downs you have with basketball. At parts, you talk about how you love the game. There's a part in the book where you don't have love for the game. When in life, and maybe it's now, when in life has basketball brought you the most joy in your life?
Everything's about ups and downs. When you go through your life, you're gonna have some ups and downs. But when you look back at it and stuff, I kind of took a lot of things. You live in the moment. When you live in the moment and you got big plans, you kind of take everything for granted. Just like when I was in high school, my great career in Pittsburgh, I won a championship. I kind of took it for granted because I had bigger plans of, doing that at the next level in college. You get to college and your bigger plans is going to the NBA. So I kind of took WVU situation for granted. Then next thing you know, your whole career is over and you just look back and you kind of like, you don't really want to dwell and regret on things, but it's hard for an athlete not to, if he didn't achieve his goal, it's, you want to look back and you look back and just try to analyze everything, and you say a lot of things could have worked out differently if you'd have done it, a couple things differently.
Sure. Oh yeah, everybody does that. It's hard to do it in the moment, and you can't go back and change it.
Yeah.
But looking at it now on the other side of it, like what do you feel from your college and professional career? Is it overall positive? Is there bitterness like standing back at it now? Because I read the book and you're talking about how you feel in the moment. How do you feel about it now? Like how you
I mean, yeah, like I said, when things don't work out, you're always going to have. I mean, all athletes, anybody in life, you're always going to have some bitterness towards your past, what happened, because it didn't. When you don't reach your goals, there's always going to be bitterness behind it, though. But when you look back, I did have I had a very good career in every level. I felt like my WVU career was good, but it get overshadowed by the situation what happened with Coach Beeline. So a lot of people look at me and don't think about the career I had at WVU though. But when I look back, I had a pretty good basketball career.
dude, and you had a good time at WVU, right?
Yeah, it was a great. I always tell people because you from Pittsburgh. A lot of people, you get bad. WVU get a bad reputation about
Sure.
just the state in general. But I tell people now, Morgantown, WVU, it's a great place. It's one of what I'm saying. I loved every second of being at WVU.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it comes across in the book. I'm going to go through a list of guys, Drew, that you talk about in the book, and just give me like brief one word, maybe a couple words on each of the guys that I bring up. Tyrone Sally.
That no, Tyrone Sally, I still talk to him. He's a close friend of mine. But I will say when Coach Beeline came, he changed Tyrone Sally's game a lot. I mean, Tyrone Sally was a different player under Coach Beeline, but he had a good career at WVU though. But he's a close friend of mine still. I still talk to him today.
Dior Fisher.
That was my roommate. Funny thing, I haven't talked to him since I left WVU, and that was my roommate. But he was the greatest shot blocker I ever played with.
Oh, he was amazing. I mean, some of the highlights.
That's the only guy I had trouble. I had trouble scoring on Dior Fisher. That's how good That's how great he was blocking shots.
And guys like him, Kanate, there's just something different about the timing, how they do it. And he was definitely one of those. Like I remember a game, he blocked like 3 shots in a row of the same guy. I rarely have seen that in a game. It's really different.
Yeah, something like he has the knack for just like a guy who could score points. They got a knack for scoring. He got a knack for blocking shots. So that's certain stuff you just can't teach. That's just a gift people have right there. And he had a gift by blocking shots.
For sure. Kevin Pittsnoggle.
The greatest, the best 3-point shooter I ever played with.
Guard, center, all across. Like
all across. All across. He was ahead of it. Coach Beeline's offense was ahead of his time, but he was ahead of his time because back then you had big guys playing with their back to the basket, and he was the guy shooting threes. And back in the early 2000s, you didn't really see that from guys, but he's definitely the best shooter I ever played with.
That's wild. It really was. It really was a time. All right, Gil Catlett.
No, I'm not gonna take nothing away, but it's just I don't like how I felt like he did a cowardly move. What he did, he left, never explained why he was leaving, and I never talked to him. He just left one day, and that was it. I never heard from him ever again. So I didn't like how he did his players.
Yeah. No, I don't. Just historically, I just don't look fondly. My WVU, like I want to start talking about WVU basketball. Your first year with Beeline, like the first year of Beeline. Dan Dockich.
Asshole. That dude's just I don't know. I don't know if he puts on the man. No, I don't say he put on the show because he's really an asshole in real life though. But he's an asshole,
dude. And that 2 weeks. I mean it, and I think a lot of people, WVU fans, would agree on that one word assessment. But that what if he sticks around? I mean, it's I don't like to think about that, but that is a what if moment for sure. If he keeps the job and moves forward, what it looks like. I don't think I like that path.
Yeah, like him being there, he wouldn't have had the success Beli had. So Coach Beli coming there was he had a very successful basketball program at WVU, but no, with Dockage, I don't think it would have worked out at all.
Yeah, agreed. And then the last guy, John Beilein.
Actually, we texted like 2 years ago. I mean, I don't like at that time we had him and me just for real. We just didn't see eye to eye at all. I don't really have really don't have a really problem with him. It just I don't appreciate. I mean, I don't like how it went down though. But Coach Beilein was the best, the greatest coach I ever played with. So I'm gonna have to give him his flowers on that though. But what he did to me, I really didn't. I really didn't appreciate it. And the thing with Coach Beilein was, if he wasn't successful at WVU, I think more people would have took my side. He has success, so of course people always go by who has the most success. He has success at WVU, so everyone looked at me like I was a bad person though. But no, I definitely didn't do nothing. Granted to get kicked off the team, I didn't do nothing illegal. I didn't do anything. So, but no, I gotta give him his flowers. He's a great coach, good coach. He had WVU. He did a lot of good things at WVU. I just didn't like the situation I had with him.
Sure. I really appreciate the time, Drew. Last question. We're on the fourth coach in 4 years with the current WVU program. In comes Ross Hodge. Just give me your initial impressions. How much have you seen of his North Texas teams? What's your initial impression of Ross Hodge as he comes to Morgantown for his first season?
He's a great. His pedigree. He's a great coach. I saw him at North Texas. He runs a more like a Houston crew. He runs he's a great defensive coach, and he don't score that many points though. But he's gonna beat you up on the glass, and he's a great defensive league coach. But the Big 12. I mean, at the end of the day, I always say you got to have the elite talent to compete in the Big 12. So it'd be interesting what he would do because his two top players were more offensive type guys, shooting the three ball. I'm not sure if I don't know if he's going to change his philosophy, but if he don't change his philosophy, I don't see how it works with the players he have on his team right now.
Yeah. I mean, dude, he's rebuilt, he's a whole new roster, bringing some guys from North Texas, brought some guys in. It seems offensive minded, but he talks about how he wants to be like Houston. It'll be a real interesting experiment. I know where he's trying to go, but how it's going to look this year is going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting though. But like I say, he has some success at North Texas. I just want to see. I just want to see if his style does the players he have, the top players, do they buy into what he's trying to teach?
Oh yeah, because this is not. I mean, the Big 12 is different than what North Texas, the American. Like it's just not. It's just a gauntlet, dude. It's crazy.
You could do it. Houston's successful, but the thing about Houston is they got 5-star players and they got NBA talent, so they could do it. I'm not sure if you don't have the NBA caliber type guys. I don't know. Like I said, the Big 12, it comes down to talent at the end of the day. If you don't have another talent, you're going to struggle.
Well, you are an author. Everybody check out the book, Buckets and Battles. Best way to go is Amazon on that, Drew?
Yeah, Amazon's the best way, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Drew Schifino, thank you for joining me on Unreasonable Doubt, a podcast about West Virginia University basketball.
I appreciate you having me on, man. Thanks a lot with that.
Unreasonable Doubt is under the Smoking Musket umbrella. Go to smokingmusket.com. Read posts about WVU sports, daily throwdown. Check that out. Go to the Discord. We're talking about WVU sports and other stuff on the Smoking Musket Discord. Link for that is in the show notes. Listen to West by Pod, the WVU football podcast under the Smoking Musket umbrella. Do all that stuff. Smoking Musket. Big thanks to Drew for joining me on the podcast. You can find Drew on X at DrewFino15, DrewFino15. That's it for this episode of Unreasonable Doubt. Listen on all the platforms. But just pick one. Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, Overcast Podcasts, Pocket Cast Podcasts, YouTube. Until next time, I'm Josh Witt. WVU for the 2025-2026 season. They have 0 wins and they have 0 losses.